meet with their claims. It's interesting, just looking at around the state, we probably suffered more flood damage than wind damage. You look at like a Charlotte County, they didn't get the storm surge they anticipated. They did get wind damage. You did obviously get wind damage in Lee, but I think if you look at some of the communities, you just had a rising water. And that was really the thing that was most devastating, because you can have a home that can withstand hurricane winds. Maybe there'll be some damage, patch it up. When you got a torrent of water coming in, there's really nothing that you can do about that. So that's going to require a lot of flood claims being filed. People are going to have to rehab that and hopefully get their proceeds from the flood program very, very quickly. Really proud of the First Lady for her efforts, spearheading www.floridadisasterfund.org. They launched this basically the day after the storm, and they've already raised more than $20 million to help relief efforts for people. And obviously a lot of that is going to be done right here in the state of Florida. And so we're really excited about being able to help folks in a variety of ways. I was talking to some of the motorists coming in. They had questions for me about FEMA. Like, FEMA told me I couldn't get this last time or whatever. FEMA is, it's a bureaucracy, and they're going to go by whatever those regulations are. So you may have needs that don't fit into one of their wickets. So FloridadisasterFund.org, working with these private groups, can help meet needs of people that would not be covered by FEMA. So it's an important complement to what the state and these communities are doing overall. Also, people have wanted to come in and pitch in help, and there's ways to do that. If you go to www.volunteerflorida.org, you can sign up for different volunteer opportunities, and I know people would love to have. There's been a great outpouring of support, community, and I've seen a lot of resilience in this community of people that want to pick themselves up and they want to get their communities back on their feet. And we really appreciate that spirit. And as I've said throughout the whole thing of this, there comes a time when this is not interest to the TV cameras anymore, but we understand the needs will persist long after the cameras are gone. And we'll be here and we'll be helping every step of the way. Okay, Jim Eifert is going to talk about some of the efforts that the Guard is doing.
I'm bringing with me Brigadier General Sean Boyette, who is the Joint Task Force Florida Commander. He's been the Command and Control Center node up in Camp Landing, North Florida, controlling all of the resources throughout the state. As obviously Lee County, Collier, and Charlotte have become a center of significant concern, we are continuing to migrate more forces down here. We currently have about 1,200 Florida National Guardsmen. We'll probably be increasing that in the coming days to more than 2,000. Again, just to get that presence in the streets, make sure that there are no looting or crime waves that could be part of the natural disaster. And then also assisting with the additional creation and expansion of the pods that we currently, these points of distribution like you see behind us. So I'm immensely proud of the Guardsmen who have stepped up at a moment's notice to be a part of this effort. And I'll pass it over to Sean if he has any other words.
As the General mentioned and the Governor mentioned, augment some of their outstanding comments. We look forward to continuing to provide service to our community. These are your community soldiers. Each and every one comes from a community within Florida, and they're proud to serve their fellow Floridians. So with that, I'll turn it back over to the Governor.
All right, Cecil.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Cecil Pendergrass, Chairman of the Lee County Commission. First, I'd like to thank the Governor and the state and the federal agencies working with us. This is the plan that's been in place for a year. You're seeing it all come together. We're one team here. We're all working together. Again, I'd also like to thank my colleagues, Commissioner Hammond, Commissioner Sandelli, Commissioner Mike Greenwell, and Commissioner Kevin Wayne. We've been working together. The county's put this plan together for last year, preparing for this worst-case scenario, and we've seen that happen here. Today is a perfect example of that plan to come together. We're going to have 8 pods open today throughout Lee County to provide water, ice, and food to our residents here in Lee County. So make sure you please follow us on our social media. Call 211 for any more information. Again, my most concern right now is everybody to stay patient right now. Like the Governor says, we're going on day 3 after the hurricane. The most important thing right now is stay patient and work with their agencies here locally. Thank you, Governor, and all your staff.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, Dane Eagle.
Well, I want to thank the Governor for his leadership. Being from Southwest Florida, of course, this has been incredibly hard to watch from afar. Obviously not as hard to deal with it and go through with it. But I've got a mother in Matlacha Isles and family in Cape Coral and Fort Myers, and we were telling them early on, evacuate. And they're thinking, we've been through Charlie, we've been through Irma, this is going to be fine. And obviously this was different. This was a water event. And sure enough, they got flooding. They're safe, thank God. I know their families that are dealing with worse, but the rest we can rebuild. And that's where DEO comes in. And thanks to the governor's leadership, we've been activated since we knew this storm was going to be coming upon us. We've been in the EOC daily, working with our business partners across the state, and they've been activated with us. Publix, Lowe's, Walmart, ATT, U-Haul, Uber, you name it. They've all been putting their best foot forward to help people, and we're helping them in real time, looking at supplies, looking at closures, making sure people can open and do what they need to do. And we're going to continue doing that so that people have what they need. Two things I want to leave behind today, thanks to the governor's leadership. One, businesses. They're going to be looking what's next. I know right now it's recovery, and now it's going to be how do we get back up on our feet. I need every business out there, and spread the word, please. Go to floridadisaster.biz, floridadisaster.biz. We are doing a simple survey. We need to collect information so we can decide what to do next. The details of that survey are going to help us dig in and work with our federal partners and, of course, our resources at the state, thanks to the governor, to make sure we can help people get back on their feet. So please do that today or in the coming days as soon as you can, floridadisaster.biz. I can't stress that enough. Number two, just moments ago, the governor announced that disaster unemployment assistance is available to all who need it. If you are in a FEMA-declared zone, Lee County, Charlotte, Collier, and other inland counties, you can find those on floridajobs.org, and you're affected by the storm, you may be eligible for unemployment assistance. So floridajobs.org, you can go on there today and start applying to see if you're eligible for unemployment assistance. Obviously, a lot of people, if there's no businesses operating, a lot of people are in real estate, construction, Uber, gig economy, you name it. Go on there. We want to be able to help. We've been working hard to make sure people get back on their feet. This is an event of no fault of their own, and we're going to step in to help and make sure that people are as whole as can be. So floridadisaster.biz for businesses, floridajobs.org for unemployment assistance, and we'll be in the communities in the coming days to assist as well. I want to thank all the locals for their work and thank the governor for his leadership.
Okay. And we have the president of Florida Power and Light, Eric Szilagyi. I'm going to ask him to come give an update on their efforts. And, you know, I told them before you came, you and I had talked, you've offered support for the electrical co-ops as well. You know, if you look at what happened in Lee, the places that were the hardest hit, I think are by and large serviced not by FPL, but by the cooperative. And so there may be a need for infrastructure and some things like that. This is something that we were concerned about because of supply chain, and Eric and some of his other peer companies said, you know, we've got infrastructure, we have the ability to provide support if it came to that, and so that we may be in that situation. So you want to come up?
Thank you, Governor. Yes, so as the governor said, this is a team effort, and getting the power back on for all of Florida is a team effort, and we're going to be working with everybody to do so. I'm pleased to report, Governor, that right now at FPL we are 2/3 restored. We have 1.5 million customers restored and about 650,000 customers that have yet to be restored. With that in mind, we are continuing around-the-clock operations to get everybody up. We have over 21,000 people in the field working around the clock, staging out of 30 different sites. We are cleaning up and getting power on at counties across the state, and as soon as the county is up and restored, we're collapsing those resources into Southwest Florida and supplementing the thousands we already have right here in Southwest Florida with even more. We will work with all of the electric providers, whether they're cooperatives, municipal electrics, other investor-owned utilities. It's a hallmark of what this industry does, is to come together to get the power back on for people as quickly and as safely as possible. Part of this is being able to get so many people up so quickly is a testament to the investment and the support we've had from our legislature, from the governor, from other leaders in the state about being able to invest in the resiliency of the infrastructure. At FPL, we have 8,000 miles of transmission in our system, and we did not lose one single transmission structure to this monster storm. Nor did we lose any generation that was not able to provide power. That makes a huge difference in being able to get people up quickly. That's not to say that the distribution system, which many of you have seen pictures along the coast, was not devastated by the storm. We will be rebuilding parts of that, but in most parts we are restoring the power rather than rebuilding the power, and that's because of the support we've had over years to invest in hardening our system with concrete and steel and undergrounding. And Governor, I thank you for that. It's made a huge difference for all Floridians today to have that kind of investment.
So there's never been this many people restored so quickly, because we're not even 48 hours after the storm leaving the state of Florida, and you've been through a lot of these storms. I mean, I think this has got to be far and away the quickest, right?
That's correct. I mean, at least for FPL, I can speak to that. Hurricane Irma, which was also a monster storm that hit not too far from here, as you recall, was at the time the fastest restoration in the history of the United States at FPL, and we are actually beating that at this point. So this will be the fastest restoration of number of customers that I'm aware of in the country.
Yep.
And that's, again, a testament to the investments that have been made, as well as the tens of thousands of workers who have come from 30 states to help, and we do appreciate all their help and support as well.
Great. Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, have any questions?
Yeah, Governor, as we were watching the storm head this way and Arlene County officials made the call to ask folks to evacuate, how do you feel that was done? You feel it was done appropriately and timely?
Yeah, absolutely. They were following the data, and you remember people were looking initially at the Panhandle on Sunday. Then Monday came, and people were thinking maybe north of Tampa Bay. When we went to bed Monday night, people were saying this is a direct hit on Tampa Bay, worst case scenario for the state. As that track started to shift south in the computer models the next morning, they called for the evacuation, they opened their shelters, and they responded very quickly to the data. But at the end of the day, Fort Myers and Naples on Sunday, I think of the 11 a.m. advisory, 72 hours out, they weren't even in the cone. I mean, so that's just the reality. So they followed it very closely. I know Kevin Guthrie is in touch with all the EM directors locally, working on kind of what we're seeing with different modeling. And at the end of the day, a storm that's going to hit 150 miles north of you is something that, and I said there'd be impacts all across the Gulf Coast. And I said Sunday, even if it goes to North Florida, it's a big storm. You could see impacts in Naples and some of those areas. But that's a different type of impact than what we ended up seeing. And so I think that they work very quickly, provide people shelter, provide people the opportunity to do that. And I know many of them did take them up. But I would also just point out, you had people evacuating from Tampa to Southwest Florida. I mean, that happened because of how they were following the track of the storm. Yep.
Governor, two major concerns for people, obviously running water and then gas. Do you have any information on whether the state is restoring water and when we could be expecting gas deliveries?
So what we've done on the water, they identified the break, I think, the day after the storm. They requested the state enlist federal support. So we got the Army Corps of Engineers. I think that they made the request at like 3 in the morning on Thursday. Army Corps was here from Jacksonville Thursday afternoon. That's a 6-hour drive under good conditions, as you guys know. So they're there. They're working with not just the county water utility, but some of the other municipal utilities to be able to do that. And we have National Guard engineers available to help the Corps if they need it. And I know General Eifert has a lot of folks there. So at the end of the day, troubleshooting that is really significant, because once you get that going, everything else can really come to life. Even some of the power, you can do the generators, but you need that running water just for basic sanitation. So we're happy that the Army Corps responded very quickly, that they're on it, diagnosing it, hopefully offering a solution as soon as possible. The fuel, as I mentioned in my comments, there's fuel available. It's coming in from the ports. The gas stations that have power or generators typically are offering gas. I think there's just a lot of gas stations that are offline from that, and so the pumps aren't going to work if you don't have the electricity. So I think it's probably more of a power issue than it is a fuel supply issue. And now that all our ports are open, you're going to see more fuel coming in addition to all the fuel we have staged here. We've got more fuel staged here than we've probably ever had for a storm before. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you guys. Thanks, Governor. All right. Let us know what else we can do.